So just imagine meeting someone on a dating app and they put black magic on you. What's up, cousins? So I am back with another story time, and just like any time before, let's not waste no time and let's get into it. So for this story, we're gonna call her Candy. Okay, so Candy's father had just passed. So Candy's sister called her and told her she was finna come pick her up so they could go ahead and handle all the arrangements. So her sister come and picks Candy up. They ride out to their uncle house on their father's side, the one that passed away. Now they said when they got there that they was inhaling trees, and she wanted to join in because she said due to all the pain that she was in from just losing her father, she wanted to just take her mind off of his death. So right now they all high as a kite. Now Candy said that she started feeling a little weird because the girls that her sister had also brought along with her started looking at her weird. So in the midst of this, she's texting the person that she met off the dating app. We're gonna call him Ray. So she's telling Ray like she feels uncomfortable, she wants to go, and she also tells her sister that she's ready to leave. So they left. They ended up stopping by a gas station. So her sister asks, "Hey, do anyone want anything from the gas station?" Candy said that she's gonna go inside with her. She ended up getting her some water. So as they began driving off from the store, Candy got this paranoid feeling like something is just going on. She told them to pull over, let her outside the car. She had her cousin come pick her up and take her to the hospital to find out that the trees that she was inhaling was laced. Candy said it affected her so bad to where she had to stay in the hospital, and she did end up missing her father's funeral. So after all of this had happened, Candy was clinging more and more to Ray. However, she figured they were just messing around for fun. Like he'd come to her house every day, he'd spend a night with her, he would leave to go to work from her house. So everything was good, everything was smooth until about 2 months goes by. Then she started noticing Ray's anger and his behavior and how he would get mad when she would want to do certain things or say certain things. Then she started noticing how controlling he was becoming. Now, shortly after that, she noticed how her funds kept declining and declining and how it was so much chaos going on in her life. Now, she was not new to getting tarot reads, so she did ended up seeking a practitioner and getting a tarot reading done to see what was going on with her life. The practitioner told Candy that Ray did not have good intentions at all, and he was doing black magic on her and her kids. He also told her that Ray's going to continue doing spell work on her because he doesn't want her to be successful, doesn't want her to be nothing in life, and he wants to harm her. Ray was also doing spell work to have mind control over Candy. The practitioner said that Ray felt like Candy was too good for him, and that was something that he hated. Candy said shortly after, she had a dream about Ray, and God showed her exactly what he was trying to do and how he was trying to harm her, and it was the same thing that the practitioner told her that he was doing. So fast forward, one day she's out shopping at this particular store. She saw him drive by, and she had to act like she didn't see him because in her mind she's wondering, how the hell did you even know I'm here? That's when she realized that Ray had put a monitoring spirit on her to see everything she was doing and everywhere she was going. And not only that, when Christmas came around, the person that Ray was living with bought Candy kids some used toys for Christmas. And Candy said she felt like it was something attached to these toys. She took everything that was given to them and threw them away. Some time go by and Ray wants to meet up. So Candy's kind of curious to see what did he want to talk about. So Candy invites him over to her house for a conversation. Now, as they're conversating about whatever they're talking about, they decided to exchange phones and go through each other phone. Now, as he's going through her phone, she wanted her phone back. Now, when she asked for her phone back, he threw it at her face and split her eyebrow. They ended up getting into it. She kicks him out the house. Now she calls 911 to get some assistance. So when the ambulance gets there, they take her to the hospital. She gets stitched up. So after she done at the hospital, she ends up calling an Uber to take her back home. Now when the Uber pulled up and she got in the car, she said the vibe was off and it was weird. And out of nowhere, he put this hoodie on to cover his face. And then he proceeded to take a whole different route from where it was telling him to even go. So she calls her family member and told her family member like, hey, something is off, something's not right. She told the Uber to let her out the car. So he stopped where they was at and let her out the car. She ends up requesting another Uber. They pull up, she gets in the car. Now, this Uber driver decided to speed. So in the midst of that, she's calling the cops, letting them know, like, hey, he's speeding, this and that. And she's telling him to let her out the car. However, he's not slowing down. So she has to jump out of a moving car. Now, Candy couldn't shake this feeling of being vulnerable, so she ends up calling Ray. Now, in the midst of their conversation, Ray ends up bringing up the highway that she jumped out on while she was in that Uber. Mind you, Candy didn't even mention to him the Uber accident, let alone the highway it even happened on. Candy says she do believe Ray is a warlock and that he was placing spirits into her home, and she feels like he tapped into her phone as well because her phone couldn't keep a charge for nothing. Her battery kept dying. But not only did it stop there, Candy started seeing shadowed figures in her home. She also had a dream that Ray was working with other practitioners to keep her binded to him. She said to this day, her and her kids wake up with scratches on their body. This is something that Candy is still dealing with. So again, y'all, if you have a story that you want to submit, make sure you DM it to me, or you can email it to the email that's in my bio. Okay? Until then, enjoy this story.
All right, so I wasn't going to make a story time today, but you guys have been so loving and supportive on YouTube that I'm just like, it inspired me to get on here and tell you guys this story. This person submitted their stories, and if you haven't submitted your stories yet, make sure you submit yours. I submit alienstories@gmail.com. This person would like to remain anonymous, and it's a love spell story. And if you guys haven't learned, stop doing love spells on people. This is the woman who controlled her husband. So this woman, we'll call her Marsha, and we'll call her husband David. So Marsha was now getting into voodoo, okay? She was now getting into this whole thing, getting into this whole realm and learning about different spells and different potions and different things. This was already in Marsha's family, so this was right up her alley to actually get into her roots to practice voodoo. I said that to say that Marsha was no stranger to this. If anything, she was actually pretty along in her journey. David, however, he would dabble. But he wasn't as consistent as Marsha. However, whenever he needed help from spirits, like he would go to a voodoo priest, so he would dabble here. While Marsha and David were together. But the tea is, Marsha met David at a party, and Marsha took David home, and they did the bada boom bada bang. And Marsha winded up pregnant from the one night stand. And Marsha, when she finds out that she's pregnant, is utterly embarrassed that, well, she knew who the father was, but it's just like she doesn't know where the father was, because at that point it had been like maybe 2 months since that one night stand, and they didn't really stay in contact. And Marsha also didn't know what to tell her family because, well, she didn't want to be called a harlot. So from the time that Marsha found out that she was with child, she went around the entire neighborhood asking anybody that she knew, even back to the party, traced it back to the party, to find out where this man could possibly be and actually who this man was. So through that, she actually finds David. And child, Marsha's mentality was, I'll let you get away once and I ain't letting you get away again. She found out where David lives. Not only did she find out where David lived, but she also found out that David had a whole other family. So there's an obstacle to Marsha's plans. Marsha winded up going to David's house, found David, and spoke to him. And she told him that she's pregnant. And David, being utterly like, this can't be mine. Like, my consequences cannot be catching up to me. So no, I think you're barking at the wrong tree. Marsha, being offended, said, all right. Marsha manages to get to his wife and told her that he got her pregnant, and if she doesn't leave that man, his wife, mind you, she's telling his wife, if you don't leave your husband for me, you won't like what's coming next. And his wife stayed in the picture, and there began a series of just mishaps in David's wife's life. Car accidents, random health problems, suddenly seeing things, hearing things. After all of those things happened, David's wife had no choice but to remember that she was threatened before by David's mistress that is pregnant. So David's wife decided to bow out of the picture. She took her children and she bounced while David was sleeping. Now David goes to Marsha. David confronts Marsha about ruining his life. After he confronted Marsha, they got into a scuffle. But you know what? Marsha was still determined for David's love. She went ahead, she did what she did. I don't know what the fuck Marsha did, but she put a love spell on David. Now, she had David's child, so this was probably really easy for her to do. And like I said, she also practiced voodoo. And David would come running back to Marsha like a lost puppy, and Marsha accepted David with open arms. They lived together, and it is as though David was obsessed with Marsha. It's just that though, David had like sudden outbursts every once in a while. Like outbursts that were just out of the ordinary. Now keep in mind, Marsha didn't really know David like that before she got pregnant. She just kind of decided that she didn't want to be embarrassed and that she needed to have a man be in her life in order to have this baby. So she was willing to take the steps to do it, but she forgot one thing. She didn't know who the fuck this man was. She plucked him out of obscurity, and he was obscure. These outbursts, every single time he would come straight at Marcia, all of his anger was directed toward Marcia. And Marcia didn't understand what she was doing wrong because he was under a love spell. You're in love with me, so how can you treat me like this? So Marcia decided, I did a love spell, so he loves me. So now all I have to do is do a spell to keep his anger at bay. And Marcia did. Marcia did a spell that would then keep David's anger at bay. So Marcia went on to have a docile man that does not put his hands on her and that loves her, actually is obsessed with Marcia. So when this person submitted this story, they actually ended the story with, they're at the point now where it's been a long time. So that person is actually Marcia. Marcia wants to leave David because she has had it with him. He is just not the same man, even when he was angry. Now David is just sad, obsessed, and he has lost track of like his actual life. He's a father and he's not providing. So 2 years after the baby, Marcia now wants to leave David. But Marcia knows that that is a very complicated mission because this man is now under two spells, a love spell and something to keep his anger at bay. And she's been the one to keep it going. And she's worried that if she leaves him, he will realize what she did to him and he will come after her. And just a little plot twist, I wanted to wait till the end because y'all be thinking that only Haitian women be doing this. Marcia is Jamaican. I should have called her Sherry Ann. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Thank you, Marcia. You know who you are for submitting this story. It was actually very entertaining for me to both read and to tell. You shouldn't do a love, like, I can't help you. Sometimes y'all submit these stories to me thinking I know what to say. I don't know what to say. I just tell stories online, guys. But I don't know, Marcia, if it isn't the consequences to your own actions. Like, I don't know. If you guys have any comments or advice for Marcia, you guys can put it down in the comments below. I'm sure she'll see this video. The more love you guys show me on my YouTube page, the more subscribers, the more viewers that I get, and the closer to my goal of being monetized that I get on YouTube, the more inspired I'll feel to keep posting these videos like impromptu and to just keep blessing you guys with these story time. Thank you guys, each and every single last one of you guys, like seriously. And if I didn't say this enough, or if it wasn't obvious enough, go subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like follow me on Instagram. I love you, abducted aliens.
Okay, so this is actually not my story, but it's a story that my grandmother told me when I was a kid, and it kept me awake for 2 days. When my grandmother lived in Haiti, there was a woman in the neighborhood who was suspected to be a witch or like do voodoo, like dark magic. Not voodoo was not all dark, but the dark stuff. So she was suspected of doing that kind of stuff, and they thought that she could turn into an animal. The reason why they suspected that she was affiliated in some ways because she would be gone for long stretches at a time and would not be accounted for. Those communities were typically very close knit, and you'd know like when people came and go and stuff like that. It's a small community back in the early 50s. So this woman also wanted my grandmother's husband. So it's her and some of the younger kids in the house. And one night, during the middle of the night, she hears rustling at the door, like someone's trying to open the door. So just think of like a knob jiggling, like someone's trying to get in. So she hears it and she's like, maybe it's just like, the oldest kid who's back from school and he's coming to visit or whatever. So she writes it off and then goes back to sleep. She hears it again. And then she's like, okay, no, something's odd because why would he be wrestling with the door so much when he lives here? Like he has the key, he can get in. So she goes to the door, opens it, and a black cat runs in. Now in Haiti, we believe that people can be turned into animals. Argue with your mama. This is what they believe back home, okay? She tells me that the cat is in the house running amok, just doing damage. So she's trying to catch the cat, run after the cat, and she finally gets a hold of it and starts beating it. Now, before y'all call PETA and all this stuff, the lady's long gone, and in Haiti, they don't play by the same rules they do about animal cruelty here, okay? That said, she starts beating the cat. Cat's dead. No blood can be found on this cat. None. That was the second sign that something was really, really, really wrong. In our culture, when it comes to like those dark kind of things, they have an unspoken rule that when you see something, you say nothing. So she speaks of this to no one, and then a couple days pass, and the lady is missing. She has not been accounted for. No one can find her, and it's been long stretches of time where she's completely gone. So, what they suspect is that this woman was coming into my grandmother's house to do her harm and turned herself into a cat in order to do it, and ultimately passed, and they never found her.
Here's my story on why I do not play with witchcraft. So when I was about 22, 23 years old, my then best friend at the time, grandmother, used to do work. She wasn't your average grandma, with the moo moo. No, she was turned. She smoked weed. She drank. She hung out. She could dress. She was that type of grandma. But she did work. She would do things like she would put your name in the freezer when she wanted you to stop doing something. She didn't put it in a bag of water like I be hearing other people say. No, she put your name straight in the freezer, and whatever she focused on that she wanted you to stop doing, you would stop doing. She would also do things like the jar, but she didn't do like honey jars. She would do a simple jar, and she have you write their name down and put their name in a jar of water and hide it in the house, and the person would not go nowhere. She did stuff like that. And the crazy thing about it, we saw it work. Me and her granddaughter, my best friend at the time, we saw it work. Whatever she said, it worked. So around that time, we young, we had little boyfriends that was cutting up or whatever. So we call ourselves wanting to get our boyfriends in line. So she told us this simple one to write their name down. If we don't hear from them and we want to hear from them, write their name down, put it under the pillow, and sleep on it, and you would hear from them. And I promise you, I used to do it, and at the time I wouldn't hear from my baby daddy for weeks. I would put his name, write his whole name down, sleep on it. The next morning before 9 a.m. he would call me. So all her stuff worked, but this is where it went wrong. It was this one spell that she had me do because at the time my twin's father was cutting up real bad. I was in love with him, and I wanted him to stay home and stop cheating on me. She told me to write his name down and put it in a jar and put it in some water and hide it in the house, and he wouldn't go nowhere. I'm like, how this gonna work? Because not only was my baby daddy unfaithful, just wilding, he young, we didn't even live together. But I was in love, and my baby daddy was cheating, and I wanted him to be with me. So I did what she told me to do. I wrote his name down, his whole name, put it in a jar of water, hid it in the house. Y'all, like a month and a half later, guess what happened? He gets arrested. They lock him up. He don't get no bond. It's a serious charge. And when they finally give him a bond, they let him go under the conditions of him being on house arrest. Y'all, the spell said he would never leave the house. The man was on house arrest, and he got released to my house, my address. So y'all, once he gets released to my address, we have the best relationship ever. We getting along, we in love. He's never been this nice to me. I'm so freaking happy. Till one day, y'all, I'm out shopping with my sister, and he at the house. Remember, he on house arrest. I get back from shopping with my sister, y'all. Why the jar sitting on my coffee table? And he just sitting there. Y'all, he found the jar. He said real calm, yo, what my name doing in that jar? I was like, I ain't know what to say. I was like, I don't know. He was like, hey, yo, get my name out that jar. I was like, throw it away. He said, I'm not touching that jar. Get my name out that jar. Instantly, the spell broke. Instantly. My world got turned upside down. Do y'all hear me? As soon as the spell broke, somehow the conditions of his bond got to the point where he could leave and go certain places, and then he eventually got off house arrest. He left my house. He started back cheating double time to the part where he just moved and just wasn't, like, it was almost like he hated me. Y'all, that spell backfired so bad. I remember one night I went looking for him, and I hate to admit this, but I went looking for this man. And I remember I didn't have on no shoes, and it was in the middle of November. I went looking for him with no shoes on in the middle of November. I don't even know why I didn't have on no shoes. Y'all better stop playing with people's free will. To this day, me and that man don't get along. Like, it's a whole bunch of stuff that happened After that, I could talk for hours. But to this day, me and that man do not get along. Stop playing with people's free will. If they want to be with you, they're going to be with you. Because when it comes back times three. When I tell y'all I lost everything, I lost financially, I lost mentally. I started smoking weed around that time. I wasn't even a weed smoker. I lost. And I'm still not with a nigga. Stop playing around with that stuff. You cannot force nobody to be with you.
Man, my mama just called me with the craziest story ever, bro. I'ma just say this. If you let random people in your house, stop doing it. Please. Don't let nobody that you don't know for real, in your crib. Like, you gotta be knowing this person your whole life. That's the type of person I am. That's the type of world we living in right now. Do not let nobody that you just met at the fucking club in your house. I'm gonna tell you why. Mom just called me, told me like a friend girl that she talked to that stay in Alabama. I'm gonna tell y'all the state this happened in Alabama. I think it was in Birmingham. She say the woman about 50, maybe 60 or 70 years old. I really don't know her age, but I'm just giving y'all the age range. Anyway, she got a son. Her son, somebody did some shit to her son when he was like 25 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They put some eye drops in his liquor and they fucked him up like for life. Dude named Bill, you feel me? I know Bill. I've been knowing Bill since I was a child. You know what I'm saying? I know Bill had some type of, you know what I'm saying, dysfunction. My mama used to always tell us, like, somebody put something in his drink, y'all don't make fun of him, don't talk about Bill like when we was little or whatever. So, you know, the little shit Bill used to do, we used to ignore, for real. Bill probably be in his room talking about, oh, they want me to run for president. I ain't running for no goddamn president. I'm gonna let y'all handle that bullshit. Get what? We just ignored, like, you know what I'm saying? We know somebody had did something to Bill in the club. They say he put down his drink. He went to the bathroom. He came back to his drink. Somebody put some eye drops in his drink and fucked him up for life. So anyway, boom, his mama got to be like 70 or 80 years old, maybe. She been taking care of Bill ever since somebody put eye drops in his drink. So a random person walk up on the porch. You know what I'm saying? She sitting in the living room, Bill on the porch like he usually be. No, a random person start walking on the porch, talking to Bill. So I guess he know Bill ain't got it all or whatever. So he make friends with Bill. He just sitting up there chopping it up with Bill or whatever, you know. The mama in the living room, she think this one of Bill's friends that he know from the neighborhood. Whole time, Bill don't even know this person. So they chopping it up on the porch or whatever. The mama in the living room, she don't really know what's going on outside. She just know Bill on the outside talking to somebody that she ain't never seen before at her house. So this random person tell Bill, man, let's go in the house. You know what I'm saying? So guess what Bill do? They go in the house. When they go in the house, she said that the random person, he blows some type of voodoo dust in the air. After he blowed the voodoo dust in the air, she said that he started walking over there to her. He asked her for her credit cards. And he asked her for her PIN numbers to her credit cards. He also asked for the debit cards too, because, you know, debit and credit is separate. So if you know, people got credit cards, people got debit cards. He asked for both. And guess what she did? She gave them both. She gave him her credit cards and her debit cards. Remind y'all, she did this after he blew the little voodoo dust or whatever in the air. I call my mom right now. She gonna vouch for everything I'm saying right now. She said that she gave him her credit cards, her debit card, and she gave him the PIN to both cards. You feel me? He got both cards. He got the credit card and the debit card. After that, he got her son Bill, and they went to the ATM. They went to the ATM. He emptied out all her money out of her bank accounts, out her savings and checkings. You know, he went and used her credit card because he had the pin for that too, and went and buy all type of shit. I ain't getting too much detail on what all he bought because it's a lot. It's a long story, but it happened. Long story short, I'm gonna make this story, you know what I'm saying, a little shorter. She didn't come back to her senses till like 7 days later. This happened like November the 22nd. It's December the 2nd. 10 days later, she just not come back to her senses, realizing what happened. Her memory just not coming back. She said she can still smell like a foul smell in her crib from when he blew the dust in her house, you know. But she just now coming back to her senses. And she called and told my mama like, they just filed a police report and everything, but she ain't got no video footage of the man. She ain't got no cameras around her crib. She ain't got no video in her house of when he blew the dust. All she know, it was just a random person. You know, she don't know who it was. So now they trying to look at neighbors' surveillance and see if they got like door cams and whatever, you know. Try to see who this man was, who this random man was, who been watching her all this time to be able to, you know, do that to her. It's crazy. It's like, damn, this type of world we living in. Folks sitting back watching you, watching your house, knowing what type of person you got in your crib, knowing that they can, you know, talk to them and become friends real fast. You come in there, you blow voodoo dust in the air, and you hypnotize people. I ain't even known voodoo dust fucking exist. I ain't know they had shit out here that hypnotize folks and give up their cards and shit. You know what I'm saying? But apparently it is. So, man, y'all just be aware, man, of y'all surroundings, of y'all keep around y'all, man, because, you know, that was an innocent woman. She ain't out here trying to hurt nobody, and you got people like that out here looking to hurt people that's innocent as fuck. So, don't let random people in your crib, people you ain't knowing for over 10, 15, 20 years, man, I don't want you around me, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, bro. We live in a crazy world. Y'all be safe, man.
So my step grandmother put voodoo on my great grandfather so that she could break up the marriage between my great grandfather and my real great grandmother. Now, she had a really big karma from doing that. All of her children died before her. She outlived everybody, including her husband. But when I had found the voodoo doll in the bucket, I had noticed that it looked like me, and I was wondering why. Okay, so y'all want to know some real tea? So as a kid, I was always really, really sick. Now, my mom used to knock me out with codeine. That's a whole other story. If y'all know me and you've been following me for a while, you know about that lore. But I was always sick in the hospital as a kid. They thought I had X, Y, and Z. I was always getting tests. I was always taking shots. I was always getting injected with shit. Now that I'm older, I think that my step great grandmother was putting some shit on me for real. But I vividly remember that when I stole that voodoo doll from her, automatically, suddenly I had no more pain. No more pain. My scoliosis was good. My fucking headaches were gone. I felt fine. Me and my great grandfather, we had the same birthday. This is very important. So every year, him and I would have a conjoined birthday party. I really, really liked that because when we did that, I used to get like 50 presents because all of his friends would come. My uncles, my cousins, my aunties, everybody would come. Now, mind you, these are like her side of the family, my step great grandmother's side of the family. If you know anything about Haitian parties, you know that the kids serve the drinks at Haitian parties. So during one of my birthdays, I think I was turning like 8. I will never forget this because I got a really cute, like, you remember that green frog that, what's her name, Yasmin had from the Brats? I had one of those fucking sets that one of my uncles gave me. One of the uncles who likes to touch little girls, but that's besides the point. During one of the birthday parties, I was serving some of the drinks. Now, This drink was like a creamy kind of drink, and I really liked this drink because it kind of tastes, y'all, yeah, children who are like 7 years old drink in Haiti. Like we be serving the drinks and we be taking a sip. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that was just me. But I served one of my family members who I didn't know. Now this lady scared the fucking shit out of me. This is a lady who I used to see snakes coming out of her head as a kid. This lady randomly came to my grandfather's house and never left one day. Like she just started living there. Okay? This lady, her eyes had to have been like yellow. Like I've never seen a hazel like this. She came like everybody was in the living room. The thing about this house is it had 3 different living rooms, okay? There was one dedicated for each like age group in the family, right? But anyways, I just remember seeing her have eyes on me during the whole party. And so after I'm done giving the drinks, I decide to go into the kids' living room. When I go into the kids' living room, I remember like I sat down, and when I looked up, she was right next to me. And that was one of the scariest things because she was not there before. But I sat down, and she was right there. And she told me, "You need to return what is not yours. You don't know what you're messing with." Now, when I tell you, this lady never speaks. She never spoke. I didn't know that she could speak. First of all, I didn't even know that she could fucking speak English. That was a whole other thing. But when she was talking, it was like her mouth wasn't moving. So she was like this. This is how she was talking. Now, I don't believe in like the negative things that people say about Haiti and Haitians and voodoo and da 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 da. But this lady kind of gave zombie. I'm not gonna lie. This is a lady who genuinely didn't function. And I was scared, but she was spitting game. And she told me in Creole, "Give back what's not yours." I said, "We." So as the party is going on, I decide, okay, I'm going to take the voodoo doll. I'm going to put it back into her bathroom and she's not going to know anything. Well, to get to her bathroom, you had to pass my dead aunt's room that I told y'all that I saw her in that room. So I decide to go through her room so that they don't see me in the living room. And when I opened the door to go into her room, I saw.
It's midnight, so I feel like I should tell y'all a spooky story about when a neighbor of my mom's in Haiti tried to put a voodoo curse on her when she was a baby so that she could, you know what I'm saying? I hope you don't mind. Let's get into it. So basically, my grandmother had her first child at 18. She was a teen mom. They were in Haiti at the time, my grandmother and my grandfather, and then they had my mom. My mom is the eldest of 4 children. So one day, my mom just stopped pooping. Like she was a baby, and she just stopped pooping. She wouldn't poop, and y'all know when you don't poop, you'll die. So my grandmother, she's freaking out. My grandfather's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" They keep taking her to the doctor, and the doctor's like, there's nothing medically wrong with her at this point. I feel like it's spiritual. So they bring my mom actually to what she called, when she told the story, the medicine man, I guess like a shaman or whatever. And he sends my grandfather out on a, well, first he asked, "Do you have a lot of like family over the house?" And they're like, "Not really." He's like, "Well, do neighbors come in and out?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, we do have neighbors, and specifically this neighbor down the street." And she's constantly like asking if like she can do something and like help with the baby. And my grandmother thought she was just trying to be nice. He's like, "Something isn't right. Go look around her house." So my grandfather and my grandmother went over the house, and my grandmother said that she was going to go to the bathroom. They're at the neighbor's house. I don't think I specified that, but she said she's going to go to the bathroom, and she's just kind of searching around the lady's house. Whole time she gonna find my mom's little shoe under this lady's bed with a voodoo charm in it. So she takes it, and they go back to the medicine man, and they tell him that this is what happened. He's like, okay. He sends my grandfather out to buy like a whole bunch of little things. My mom said that he couldn't remember exactly what it was, but one of them was razor blades, and then the other one was a baby turtle. So they brought him back, or brought my mom back and the baby turtle, and they did this whole like, oh my gosh, I forgot the craziest part of the story. When my grandfather's out looking for the stuff, there was this lady that came up to him and went and blew this like white substance. I think that's called throwing root. She blew this white substance on him, and it hit his leg, and his leg immediately started just like blistering up like crazy. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, he did end up getting the stuff. They do the whatever they do, and the medicine man tells them,
throw the baby turtle and my mom, when she's a baby, up into the air. And if I was my grandmother, I'd be like, throw who? What? But they were willing to try anything at that point. They threw them up, or them both up at the same time. He said, let the baby turtle drop. The baby turtle dropped to its death, and then they caught my mom. And as soon as she touched the hands of like my grandfather, she just pooped. Like she just pooped everywhere. And that's how she was, she got better. Now, me personally, baby, I would have went to Jesus, me personally. But hey, that's what happened. And she's my mom. She's still here. But yeah, y'all, it was absolutely crazy. And my grandmother also said that after that happened, she actually would hear like really creepy stuff in the house, and she would call it zombie, like on the top of the house. It would be like a creature's up there, like just like and like footsteps, and the footsteps will get louder and faster on top of the house. And after all that stuff, they decided like we're moving to America, and they came here. But yeah, as always, y'all, make sure you like and follow and comment down below if you guys have any stories, anything kind of like this.
So the email that I got for tonight's True Scary Story is about a girl who said that a voodoo doll saved her and her son's life and saved her from being SA'd. So there is a trigger warning for that. Oh, by the way, I did tell a longer story today, so put 2 and 2 together. Okay, thanks. Before we start, I'd just like to introduce you to Leo. This is Leo. Say hi, Leo. Hi. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. So tonight's submitter did not tell me whether I could use her real name or not, so I'm going to call her Lily. So Lily has a big family. Her mother is one of 12, and her aunt, her mother, and her grandmother are often caught talking about their intuition and their spiritual connection to the spiritual world. Lily said that her mother and her aunt were the definition of eyes in the back of your head, but they were always pretty secretive about it. So growing up, Lily had plenty of weird experiences. She would often sleepwalk a lot as well, and she would always end up in one of 2 places, either a closet in her basement or the corner of her living room. Now one day, Lily is walking out of her bedroom and she is walking past the bathroom, and she sees something in the corner of her eye. She slowly looks over and she sees this little girl with long, soaking wet, dark hair, and she's crouched in the bathtub, inside the bathtub, just staring at her. When Lily first told her mother about this experience, her mother didn't really say anything about it, but she would later find out that her mother also saw this little girl. Well, one time they go to Florida and they're on vacation, and they go to bed, and Lily wakes up in the middle of the night, and she doesn't really know what wakes her up, but she sees something sitting at the foot of her bed, and she realizes that that little girl with dark, wet hair is sitting at the foot of her bed, staring at her. Now, this absolutely terrified Lily, because she was like, I'm in a different state, so this obviously means that whatever this is following me. So she tells her mom because she's scared, and instead of her mom being like, holy crap, and also being scared for her, her mom seems oddly pleased, and then calls her grandmother and tells her grandmother that she basically has abilities. Her mom then looks at her and says, I knew you were observant. Like, I knew that you had these abilities. And she was 12 years old at the time, so she just looked at her like she was crazy. She also wasn't well versed in this type of stuff because she was 12 years old, so she kind of just brushed it off. Now, she had a lot of experiences after this that were scary to her, but she also just brushed those off. Unfortunately, about 5 years later, when she turned 17, her mother passed away. Now, after her mom's unfortunate passing, she ends up moving in with her aunt, the same aunt that had the abilities. And when she's at her aunt's house, she has a lot of weird experiences, but she doesn't really say anything about it. And her aunt is very secretive about these types of things. When she was 20 years old, she moved out of her house. When she was 22 years old, she had her son. Now, nothing really happened at her house. It was pretty quiet, but she did have a best friend that she met when she was 17 or 18 years old that was very into spiritual things. Now, because of all the stuff that Lily had gone through when she was younger, she wanted no part of any of these spiritual things, so she kind of just ignored them too. But 3 weeks after Lily had her son, her best friend had a son, and they also worked at the same restaurant together as managers. Now, their kids were inseparable, and they lived walking distance from each other. They were like family. Now, this is where it kind of starts to get strange, because her best friend plans a trip to New Orleans with her family, and so she gives her son to Lily, and Lily watches her son for a week. Now, while her best friend was in New Orleans, she would FaceTime call her every single night to say goodnight. But on the 5th night, something different would happen. She would call her on FaceTime, and her best friend would ignore her FaceTime call and call her back on the phone. Now, out of concern, Lily steps away from the boys to take this phone call. She then asks her if everything is okay, and her best friend is like, no, everything is not okay. Some woman came up to me and told me that something dark is following me. Now, Lily at this point is just like, listen, you're in New Orleans. It's a breeding ground for stuff like this. It's not real. Just calm down. 3 days later, Lily goes over to her friend's house to drop off her son, and they just hang out and they have dinner. And while they're there, her friend proceeds to tell her that she got her a gift. She goes into her bag and she pulls out a voodoo doll. Now, the voodoo doll looked like this right here. And you see how there's like a little tag on it? The tag looked like this.
Then tells her that the woman that she bought it from told her that it was a protector of children, and since she often had the boys more often than she did, she gave it to Lily. Well, the night goes on and she ends up going home with her son. They go to lay down and she actually takes the doll and she hangs it up above her son's bed. She thinks to herself, if there's bad voodoo, there must be good voodoo, right? That same night, she wakes up to her son crying. Now, she breastfed him, so this wasn't out of the ordinary, but what was out of the ordinary is when she went into his room, he was snoring. He was knocked out. She's feeling a little bit uneasy about this, so she grabs her son and she brings her son into her room with him and she lays him on her chest. Well, a few hours later, she wakes up again to that baby crying while her son is on her chest. This really scared her, so she's not able to go to sleep after this. 1 hour later, she's on full patrol. She's scared, wide awake and alert, and she looks over, sees something out of the corner of her eye, looks into her closet, and she sees a little child crouching in her closet. She said this did not feel good. This scared the out of her. She normally stayed calm when these things happened, but this one got her. Now, a part of her wanted to believe that this was just her being exhausted, but she felt it. She knew somebody was there and she saw it. So she just knew it in her. She knew she wasn't hallucinating. So this scared her. So she goes over to her friend's house at 4 a.m., the same best friend. Well, she gets there and their babies are fast asleep, cuddled up next to each other, and they're just sitting on the couch talking to one another when her friend gets up to go get something and Lily notices a scratch on her friend's back. So she lifts up her shirt and there are these giant scratches all down her friend's back. Her friend then tells her that for the past couple days she has felt really uneasy. Now, the funny thing about this is Lily said that she didn't feel after this moment that whatever was haunting her was actually bad. She started to feel like it was good. It wasn't a harmful spirit, but the scratches on her friend continued to happen for weeks. Then two big pieces of information would come out. Sadly, her friend was struggling really badly. She was in a very, very dark place, and this would explain why she always had her best friend's son 90% of the time, but her friend wouldn't talk to her about it. Then something terrifying would happen. So Lily had this friend. She was really, really close to this person. It was one of the closest people to her in her life. He was actually the weird kid in high school, the same high school that she went to, and she befriended him. She really, truly trusted this person. Well, one night she goes to bed, she falls asleep, and she wakes up in the middle of the night to her son screaming and crying, like screaming. And she looks over and her friend that she knew from high school is at the end of her bed going at it to himself right in front of her. Her pants are also off. At this point, she kicks him in the face and she runs to her son's room. He had put pillows on top of her son, and her son is too little to roll over by himself. But her son was not screaming and crying. Her son was asleep. That was not his screams or his cries. Now, Lily didn't explain what happened after this, if she called the police or anything. I'm sure she did. Whether she did or not is totally up to her, and that is her right. But she did say that her friend ended up getting help, and that after this experience, nothing spooky ever happened. But she does believe that whatever was in that doll helped protect her and her son and potentially saved both their lives that night. So what did you guys think about that story? First of all, I just want to say that I have heard that there is good voodoo. Every time I do a story about voodoo or voodoo dolls, somebody in the comments will be like, there's not just bad voodoo, there's good voodoo too. And this kind of just explains that. And for somebody who didn't really believe in the paranormal, or at least didn't want to deal with it, for her to come through and say, yeah, okay, this doll saved my life, and accept what is going on with her is pretty telling. I do want to say, thank God, Laura, that you are okay. I am so sorry that that happened to you. That is really traumatic, and I hope that you have healed from this experience, because what he did was horrific and not okay at all, and I'm so sorry that you went through that. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this story. I know this was a very personal story, and I appreciate you trusting me to tell it. What do you guys think? Do you think that this voodoo doll saved her life? What do you think this was, and what do you think that little girl was? She saw this little girl well before the voodoo doll, and what do you think the child in the closet was? Lots of questions here.
Hey, bestie boo, do you want to go get your snack? I actually have a snack this time. It's a snack, you see? Exactly. So this story is about this girl. You know how when you out and you get hollered at and just niggas don't know how to, what the word no means? This is exactly what happened to her, right? Let's call her Marissa. So Marissa went to this college basketball game, right? And when she was walking in, everybody's walking in getting ready to sit down. This guy that came up to her was like, hey, I think you're really beautiful and I would really love to get to know you. Can I have your number? Marissa has a boyfriend and she's a loyal girl. So Marissa says, oh, no, I'm sorry. I have a boyfriend and he really wouldn't like it. I'm sorry, but I'm taken. Now, that nigga went and said the infamous, oh, he don't let you have friends. And that was Marissa's cue to walk away. Because at the end of the day, if a girl tells you she has a boyfriend, whether she's lying or not, like, walk away. So basically, she got the vibe that he didn't believe her when she said she had a boyfriend. So whatever, she left, she went about her business, she went with her friends, they sat down, and the game started. And as the game is going on, she ends up looking around and she sees 3 rows behind her is the nigga that tried to talk to her. So she found it a little weird, but she's like, okay, I guess whatever. He can say wherever he wants. Kind of weird that he chose to sit near me, but whatever. And as the game is going on, Marissa starts to feel very uneasy. Like something is off. She's like scratching and she just feels like something is off, but she can't really point out what's off. And it's to the point where she feels like she has to leave the game. Like she has to go outside. She has to go get some air because whatever this is, like this feeling, it's very bad. So anyways, she just like steps out and she goes outside and her friends follow her. But one of her friends ended up staying. So as she's outside, when she gets outside, she starts feeling better. And her friends are like asking her like, hey, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? And she's trying to explain to them like, I don't know. Like, I have this feeling. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm itchy and just like something just feels off. And as they're outside talking and she's like calming herself down before she goes back inside to go back to the game. Because at this point, she's even thinking like, I think I want to go home. The friend that stayed inside end up coming outside. And when she came outside, Marissa's thinking like, she came to check up on her too. But when she came outside, she was like, Marissa, you know that nigga that tried to talk to you earlier? Marissa's like, yeah, what about him? The friend is like, why, when you walked out, he moved down bleachers and took something from under your seat? Marissa's like what? What do you mean? Friend is like, I'm not sure, but it was this weird looking ball thing. It had like herbs and it was tied up in this like red knot and it was under your seat. And when you left out, he came and picked it up, put it in his pocket and went back in his seat. Now, Marissa is no stranger to voodoo. She doesn't practice it, but she knows about it. Enough to know that nigga just tried to tie her ass up because she rejected him. And as they're talking about it, the nigga comes outside and he comes with this new confidence, right? Way worse than before. And then tries to like spit his game at Marissa again. And at this point, Marissa knows what's up. And Marissa looked at him dead in the face and told him, you keep fucking around and you gonna find out. You don't know who I am and you don't know where I'm from. The fact that the shit that you just tried didn't even work because I know that's why you came out here. You thought it worked, right? Well, I'm just here to let you know that your days are coming. And that nigga looked like he seen a fucking ghost. Marissa turned away and she went home. She didn't even go back to the game. She went home. Now, Marissa don't know what happened to him after that because she never seen him again. But yeah, that was just like an odd story that happened to her and she submitted it. If you want to submit your own story, go over to my Instagram. I am doing a $100 giveaway again, so go over to my Instagram and see how you can enter. I did just record my podcast episode, so it will be dropping soon. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, love you. Bye.
Hi, I'm going to tell y'all a story today, and it's the story of a Virginia teen that conjured Papa Legba, so stay tuned. I'm being lazy. I didn't feel like uploading anything, but this is how she looks. Her name was Catlin Resin, and her friends called her Cat. Now, she was a practicing member of Wicca, and Wicca is nothing more than a common day witchcraft. What happened is she is a single mother with one child. She was seeing this black woman, and she broke up with her. So she wanted to get back even with the black woman, so she thought she would use voodoo to do that. Okay, now Papa Legba, a lot of people said she didn't conjure Papa Legba because Papa Legba was a good spirit. He only did things to help people. He's considered a low, which are spirits of Haitian voodoo and Louisiana voodoo. He stands at the spiritual crossroads and he gives or denies permission to speak with the dead. And he is believed to speak all human languages. Now, he was actually a person that came from Africa and he helped people. He is, they said that he was like a little man with a straw hat, a cane, and he always had a dog with him and he was always smoking a pipe or a cigar. And I'm going to show you the picture of how Hollywood portrays him, especially the TV show American Horror Story. If you want to see him, just watch The Coven, and he appears in there several times. But I'm going to show you a picture of how he looks. I am so lazy. I know I am. That's how Papa Legba, that's how Hollywood portrays him, but he is nothing like that. He's only a good deity. He's nothing like how they portray him. Okay, so all her friends told her, you don't know what you're doing. How are you going to use voodoo to get even with somebody black? Voodoo is like in our heritage. It's in our culture. You know, for her to do that, it's just completely mind-boggling. Well, anyway, she said to the people, she said, her friends, she said, let people live and have their own religion. If somebody is into something different, accept that. Stop saying you came from God. I'm a wicked and I always will be, so shut the F up and let me be. Well, you know what? She got really scared because she started dreaming about Papa Legba, and she was really scared. And they found her drowned in her bathtub. Now, you tell me what grown person drowns in the bathtub. But they said she didn't conjure Papa Legba. She conjured someone called Baron Samedi because he was evil, and that's who she actually conjured. Now, this story is true. You could look up her obituary, but I just think it's the strangest thing for a white person to conjure a black voodoo spirit to hurt another black person.